obviously we can't really do a podcast without talking about Cristiano Ronaldo, who seems to always crop up and pop up in Chelsea podcast and other podcasts. But not too much about the interview, but just in terms of, it looks more than likely he's not going to be a Manchester United player when he comes back from the World Cup, simply because of how the interview ended last night. He didn't say yes or no, but it's an 80-20% he's not staying at Manchester United. We said in the summer he was a top target for Todd Boehly. Todd Boehly was very keen on him at the time. Obviously, Thomas Tuchel apparently wasn't. Graham Potter claims that he's still not 100% convinced by Ronaldo. I'm still sticking to by what I said in the summer. I think he's a really good player, but he comes with a lot of baggage, i.e. Piers Morgan interviews. What's your thoughts on it? Has it changed since the summer, or is it the same as it was before?
I mean, it's very hard saying no to a player like Ronaldo because we know what he can provide to teams. It's goals. I feel he's probably the main reason. He's the main reason that United finished amongst the top 6 last season. Second top goal scorer, I think, only behind Heung-min Son, if I'm correct. So he can score goals. He knows where the back of the net is, which seems to have been a recurring problem for Chelsea since the likes of Drogba and Costa have left. We haven't really had that prolific goal scorer. However, he's 37. He is 37. Sure, he looks after himself to the point where he can play up to the age of 37 at the highest level. But we need to start planning for the future. We've still got players like Azpilicueta, Aubameyang, Thiago Silva, who are on the wrong side of 30. And they've got a couple more seasons left in them. And I don't think we should be kind of carrying on buying these type of players. I do always say we need to look at players who have experience. But for me, experience is when you're kind of late 20s, that age where we got Fabregas in, Diego Costa in. They've gained that experience in another league and they've proven themselves. And now they're able to play in the Premier League. Whereas Ronaldo, now he's 37. I've seen he's being linked to Inter Miami, to the Australian league now. And I think maybe we just need to be realistic and say, sure, he's an amazing player. He'll sell us millions pounds worth of shirts, and his commercial value is probably the highest in the world. But it's just not really the vision that we want to be going in. I highly doubt that I really think that if we do sign him, it will be a Todd Boehly signing, not a Graham Potter signing. And I think that's where that kind of Tuchel sacking probably initially started. That kind of, they didn't really have that aligned vision between Boehly and Tuchel, and that's the last thing we want now, is to have that kind of same kind of tension or kind of conflict when it comes to transfers and vision between Potter and Todd Boehly.
Yeah, I think the fact that Paul Winstanley's coming as well, basically the foundations that we spoke about in the summer, the players that the staff that we needed to bring in, essentially move on some of them as well. It seems like Graham Potter's getting what he needs to be able to go into the next 2 summer windows and in the transfer window, to bring in those players. And you're looking at the profile of Brighton's profile. You look at the players that they've brought, none of them are really of that age. I know it's a different caliber. They can't attract maybe a Cristiano Ronaldo or a Leon or Messi, whoever. They can't attract that level of player. But even looking at some of the players of science, they're all 28 below, maybe, they don't really go for the 30 plus. So I think that's going to be a thing of the past, buying a Patrick Aubameyang or even a Thiago Silva. I don't think we'll see someone like that coming through the Chelsea doors anytime soon. I think that the idea and the plan is to try and build youth, build them up, bring them through with a bit of experience, of course, of in terms of I don't know, someone who's in their 28, someone who's in their late 20s, bring them in, add that experience. But I think it's going to be a youthful looking Chelsea side going forward, and I think that's the idea and the projects that I think Boehly vision that he's got aligns with Potter. You look at the backroom staff that he's brought in from Brighton. I think Paul Winstanley's going to be a really key part of that as well. But I agree with you, I think Ronaldo comes in and causes a lot of chaos at Chelsea, which there has already been chaos. You look at going back to Abramovich, Tuchel, some of the players, Lukaku, there's been so much chaos over the last 2 years. So to add to that, when you're trying to do a rebuild, which is what the phase that we're in, would just be silly, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've had our fair share of chaos in the last couple of years, and the last thing we want is to add Cristiano Ronaldo to that pot and kind of continue to stir it in a way. And we saw that he is capable of kind of not listening to the hierarchy and doing these type of interviews, which I've just read now, might mean that his contract will be terminated, and he's not welcome back at Carrington. So yeah, I think that's the last thing we want. But there's still a tiny part of me that would just love to see him in a Chelsea shirt, and I know that he will kind of be ready to kind of score goals, but it will be more of a short plan, which is not what we need right now.
If you didn't have Aubameyang, I think I'd agree with you to an extent, but I just think we're drying up on goals. You know, we look at Sterling, who started the season well, but we are crying out for someone who can put the ball in the back of the net. But I think going forward, there's going to be options. You know, look at Nkunku, who hopefully will be signing shortly, but I just can't see it. I can't. And to be honest, I think looking at Lukaku's interview, looking at Ronaldo, it shows that some players do actually believe they are better, or they're in a different period in their career than they actually are. You look at Lukaku, who thinks he was a lot better than Chelsea at the time and gone back to Inter. And, you know, you look at Ronaldo saying he doesn't respect Ten Hag, and, you know, that respect isn't reciprocated. You know, he doesn't believe he should come on, you know, in 3 minutes to go in the game. To me, the ego's up there, you know, the players down there. So, yeah, it's still a no from me.